Hey everybody, I hope everybody's having a really good week this week. So this week, what's popping and dropping is a thermometer pop-up card. You see raising and going up and down there. And this is our mock-up, but we're going to make it definitely look a whole bunch better once we get finished with it. So why don't we go ahead and head over to Design Space. And I'm going to show you all the pieces that come in the file, and I'll meet you there.
Okay guys, here we are in Design Space, and when you open the file it's going to look something like this. Here are all the basic pieces we need to make this card. I didn't add the lettering of the words I'm going to use because I'm not sure what free fonts everybody has, so if you want it to say the same thing as I do in mine, you could just choose whatever lettering that's available to you guys. So don't forget to go up and name and save your project. Add any additional pieces that you would like to add. And if you want, we can go ahead and get these pieces cut out, and I'll meet you at the craft table. I'll see you there.
Okay, guys, now that we are back at the craft table, why don't we get our pretty paper out, and our card base here. So we can go ahead and work our score line. So let's do that on our card base. So the next thing we can do is go ahead and put our pretty paper on. So let's do that. Okay, so we got our pretty paper on. I really am liking this paper. It's got some dad ties and mustache, and I just kind of a manly paper. So once we have this on, what we can do is we want to get our pieces out that will make our mechanism. So you should have a piece that looks like this, and there's two triangles that go in there also. So let's go ahead and get those out. Okay, so for our mechanism pieces, we should have this piece that looks like this, two triangles, three longer rectangles, and a wider rectangle, and this, and then of course our two um, pieces for our meter or thermometer, whatever you want to call this here. If you want, what we can do is go ahead and line our two pieces up and glue our white piece on to our blue piece, or whatever color you chose to put yours on. So let's go ahead and do that, and just be careful you're not putting glue in your little slots here because you don't want it to be sticky. So let's do that. Okay, now we have that done. Let's go ahead and work on our mechanism piece. So we have a V, a triangle or a V shape right here. We need to work those score lines, the score line at the bottom here, and then we have three on this longer rectangle part. So they are all going to be mountain bolts. So let's go ahead and work those. Now, once we have this work, if you have your score lines facing up towards you and we fold this flap back, you see this little triangle that's going past our line here? That triangle right there. We want to snip that off because we don't want that to be there. So just cut it off, and you can use this as your gauge to where to cut the triangle off. And this is what I have left once I cut it off. Then what we need to do is take our little triangle pieces here, and we're going to turn it over to the back, and we're going to place one triangle in our little triangle section here. See how we place it in here? And then this other one, we're going to flip it up the opposite way of this one, and we're going to bump it right next to it like so. And you don't want to go past this score line here or this bottom score line. So that's what you can use for a guide. And this is just going to help make our mechanism sturdier. So why don't we go ahead and put some glue or tape on that and put that down. So let's do that. And I just drew a triangle on my triangles there so you could see it better and see how I lined it up. And this won't be seen on the back of our mechanism, okay? And that's it, guys. We have our mechanism work. These are just going to be support pieces, so we need to figure out which way you want your card to open. So I'm good with this side, and it'll open like so. And then this rectangle piece with the little tab, it needs to be facing away from you. And the triangle needs to be on your left-hand side so we can put it in our score line. So I am going to use tape, double-sided tape for this. But I'm going to go ahead and put tape on all three of my tabs here. So let's go ahead and do that. Then once we have our tape on, I'm going to measure 2¼ inches up from the bottom of my card. So I got 2¼ and I'm measuring from the base of my card. And then I'm just going to put a little mark in my score line. And that is about 2¼ inches. I'm going to go ahead and take my tape off here. So the point of our triangle is where we want that to match up with where we measured if you measured it. And you want that point to be in the score line. Okay? So I'm going to turn mine over and do it backwards because once I put this down, it'll flip up how I want. So if you're going to do it with this upside down, you want to put your point below the mark we made. So right up there is the mark I made. So it's below because we're doing this, putting this on backward. My point is in the score line of my triangle. And then what I'm going to do is just rub my tab, my long tab here down. And then fold this up. Now, I don't have this tab taped down and I don't have this over here taped down. So I have my long tab on, and if you fold this tab on our triangle over and we just fold it down like so and give it a good rub, it will be in the right place. And we can go ahead and close it because our sticky part here should not be in the way. And everything should be laying flat. Okay? And mine is not sticking down right there, so I'm going to take something and give it a good rub. And I might need to use some glue. All right, so everything is laying flat this way. See how I have it flat? And then also it should be laying flat when I close it up this way. So if you can close it all the way, I'm not closing it for the purposes to show you guys, but you want to close it all the way, have this straight, this tab part straight, and then this last tab with our tape or glue on it, we want it flat all the way. Okay? So If everything is laying flat, you can open it, and when you open it, it should look like so. But also, it needs to lay flat this way. So if you can't lay it flat, then you need to pick it up and adjust your little tab that we've glued down a little bit. Okay, so we have that done. Now what we're going to do is on our 3 little strips here, we are going to put tape on one end of each of these. So we have tape on each of these ends. Now we're going to turn it over and put tape at the opposite end. So we have tape at the top, as you see there. We're going to put tape down here at the bottom on all 3 pieces. So let's do that. All right, so we have that done. Now what we can do is get our red piece, and this will be the piece that will be seen the most in our card, in our meter here. Now I want my meter, the ball, to be at the top. So you choose how you want, which direction it goes. It doesn't matter. We're still going to put this on the same. And when we glue this or tape it on, whichever you want, I'm going to put a little piece of tape on mine here. We want about an inch of this red piece hanging past this line here. Okay, so if you want, we could measure an inch out from the bottom. Got an inch there. What I'm going to do is take my pencil and draw me a little mark. So you can see the mark there. And what we need to do is get our white piece here. So I have a little piece of tape on the back here. So for this piece, I'm going to take and line it up maybe 1/8 of an inch off of the red for our white piece, okay? Now we want to take our red piece and center it on our platform right here. And our red mark, we want to line up with our gray piece here. And it doesn't have to be exact. We might have to move it a little and adjust it once we get it on our platform. So why don't we go ahead and take our tape off and center it on our platform here and line it up with our mark. So that's what it's looking like. And you see my little mark there. You won't see this. Then once we have that, we're just going to take our scissors and we're going to snip this excess gray part off. And the part that we taped to the bottom, the edge, that can stay on there. You don't have to remove that. It's not going to bother or be in the way. And I'm just cutting away at the score line here so we can get the rest of this gray piece off. So that's what it's looking like now. So now we have a space here. Okay. Now let's get our meter piece here. And what we're going to do is we need to figure out where this needs to lay on our platform. And we're going to be hiding these little gray pieces so they won't be seen underneath our meter. So it needs to be about a 1/4 inch from the bottom and also a 1/4 inch from the right hand side and the top. And we might have to adjust this a little. Push our platform straight down so it's flat on our card,
and we can kind of gauge about a 1/4 inch all the way around our card, except for on the left side we're going to have more than a 1/4 inch. We just don't want to go past our triangle.
And we can draw a little line here and a line on this side and a line down here and up at the top. That way we know where to replace our square piece. Now we're going to take the side with the tape on it, and we are going to keep in mind where our line is over here, and we don't want to go past that, and we're going to bump it up to our little edge here of our tab. Okay, so just like so. And if you notice, if you can see it, there's my little line I made, so I know not to go past it. And then I'm just going to give it a little rub. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to take off my tape. And we're just going to match it up about parallel over here. And we know not to go past our mark. And I'm going to bump it up to our little tab down here. Okay. And then our last one, we'll take one of the ends off. And we're going to keep in mind where our tab is down, our mark is down here. We don't want to go past it. And then we're just going to line it up on top of our piece here. So it should end up looking something like this. And what these are going to do is move this piece and not interfere with this piece. It's going to raise it up. Now we can go ahead and take our tape off each of our gray pieces. So let's go ahead and do that. And then if you want, you could lay this mechanism part flat again and just line it up with our marks here. And then when you open it, we should have something that looks like a gauge, and it moves up and down inside our meter. Now, what I'm noticing on mine is when I'm closing it, I have a little red that goes beyond our white piece. Can you see that? Now what we can do, well, we have three choices. We could leave it as it is, or we could take the red piece off the platform, and this is a good reason why we should use tape on the platform, and just pull it further up to the top of our white piece. And I think that's what I'm going to do. Or you could cut it off. Just make sure you don't cut off too much of the red. Now, if you notice, I have it too far up because I have a hole here. So if that is bothering you, how it's sticking out just a smidge, you could cut it off. But you don't want to cut it off too much where you're going to have a hole down here. Okay? So we have this cool meter. What we can do, if you want, we can get out this square piece, the piece that looks like that, this like that, this piece. So I figured we could take these pieces and make a shirt. And you can do your shirt in whatever colors you want. But this piece we're going to take and glue on the edge over here. So let's do that. And then this piece will line up the point over here, so like a collar. So like so. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that on. And then for our pocket, we have this little piece and then this piece to go on top of it like so. So I'm going to glue those on. And then for the buttons, I did circles, but then I took some thread I had that matched it and put it in like it looks, so it looks like there's string on, like they were sewn on. And I just took this thread here that I have and just weaved like an X on through the holes. So I just put the string through one hole and then I'm just going to make an X on it to make it look like it's sewn on, and then cut the extra string off the back. So I have my little X done there. And now I'm just going to cut the rest of it off, but just leave a little so I can glue it on the back of it. Now that we got our buttons done, I'm just going to take each one of them and glue them down the edge of our shirt right here. So why don't we go ahead and do that? And that's our shirt. Isn't that pretty cute? And I'm going to go ahead and glue my shirt and finish decorating my card, and I'll be back to show you what my finished product looks like. I'll see you in just a sec. Okay guys, so here is our finished product. I just put Dad on the pocket here, and then down here it says the dazzling and dynamic. And then we open it, and can we just take a minute and look how cute these buttons turned out? Aren't they so sweet? And then we open it up and look at our meter go. It says Dadometer. Dad, you're officially off the scale. And I just did good, great, super brilliant, out of this world. And I love how this works. And then on the back, I did a collar and a tie, and we can write a message on the tie. Do you guys know what a father's favorite snack is? A popsicle. Guys, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and crafting with me. Don't forget to stop by next week to see what's popping and dropping. Bye.